Binti Azmi. Today, I would like to share about mental health, which is my friend Putri Akila Najwa will tell about mental health during this COVID-19 pandemic, and while my friend Nurul Nabila will talk about ways to overcome the mental health illness. Alright, first and foremost, you should know that mental illness is actually can affect your mood, thinking and behavior, which today's society need to focus on because it can kill you slowly from the inside and surely a silent killer among us, even though we keep denying it or bottle up. As I search through internet, mental illness itself can make a person feeling life gloomy or feeling dejected in their daily life. It surely can give a bad result to your school, such as bad grades, isolating yourself, vandalism, anger problems, or even bullying, as well as in work, such as slacking during work, trouble work, or undone work. Besides that, it can have a bad consequences, which is in a relationship too, such as spending less time with a partner, lying, overthinking, a lack of attention and affection, or even quarreling. Most of the cases that happen can be helped, but not all people, because not all people in this world are willing to share their thoughts or problems with others. They will keep all their problems to their own until they explode by crying their heart out, or they give up their life as if everything feels numb and pained. Okay, move on to next. There are various common ways that can trigger a person's mental illness. Firstly, it can be from inherited traits. It can be stimulated from their genes or a relative that encountered the mental illness that can enlarge these chances for others inheritors to experience the same things. Secondly, it can be sparked from their environment before birth. This show that stressful surrounding or alcohol that the mother come across can create a connection to mental illness. While the third cause is their mental brain chemistry, that is one of the main reasons that today's society having mental illness, such as depression, anxiety, or even bipolar disorder. Although the general perception of mental illness is still Although the general perception of mental illness has improved over the past decades, studies show that a stigma against a mental illness is still powerful. It is largely due to a media stereotype or a lack of education, and that people tend to attach a negative stigma to mental health conditions at a far higher rate than the other disease. This kind of stigma in society affect not only the number seeking treatments but also the number of resources available for the proper treatment. As you can see in this picture, you can see that a lot of people doesn't know what is actually mental health, and they keep mocking them and even say that they are just over seeking for attention and anything. But actually, this is not about that. It is actually on a wider range. Actually, this kind of stigma also can make the person feel embarrassed to seek help, and at the end of the day, most of them will take a short way to end their pain, which is hurting themselves, or even they commit suicide. We have heard a lot of teenagers or even adults committed suicide because of depression and a lack of mental health awareness from their surrounding. People around them keep mocking about their struggle and eventually make fun of their disease. Those kind of people are actually killing them slowly. Did you know that they are actually killing them slowly but surely? How sad is it, right? That's what happened in our society nowadays. Our society actually lack of mental health awareness and always related their mental health patient or people that seek help with some religion as the reason that are not even related at all, that are not even close at all, right? This will also cause adult and teenager feel more pressure as there's nobody that to nobody to trust them, and of what they actually feel like. So many cases today involve teenagers and adults to committed suicide based on people's surrounding thoughts that is they are being overreacted or being attention seekers. Mostly those people are the one that try to seek help, but they didn't know how to express their thoughts and being they feel. They have been holding so much that they look like they are trying to seek for attention. This kind of stigma is actually burdening them and even make them feel like they are nothing but just attention seeker. They should know that we have the responsible to help them. We have to help them, not just mocking them and tell them that it's not worth to tell anyway. Alright? This also tell them that, oh, they feel so stressed, they're just doing nothing, this is just for a short time. But did you know that all of that actually your words is actually killing them slowly but surely. They feel depressed, therefore more depressed. Even they show their smile, even the fake smile, did you know that the inside of their heart they're actually crushing, they're actually breaking down to the worst part of their life. And when something happened to them, did you know that when we are the one of the reason that they're actually doing that, we are actually one of the reasons that it can lead to their death. So I hope this kind of stigma will surely slowly decrease through the generation, because our generation nowadays is actually I'm not saying that weak, but they're fragile. They're so fragile that we have to guide them. We have to show more affection and attention to them, because they have so many problems that they actually can't handle it. So we as human being should help them and guide them to seek for a right what do you call, for a right path. Okay, I hope this kind of stigma please will be decreased throughout our generation, because our friend actually need us, as we as a student, also as a human being, are responsible to help them. Alright, okay. I will pass my speech to my friend Pushu Akila Najwa. Thank you.
Hello, and I will be continuing my friend's speech. Okay, talking about mental health issue. Based on what happens today, there is too much that I can tell about mental illness, especially during the pandemic. Basically, depression of students during the pandemic, RMO or MCO. Just think back when during the RMO was being held, when students frantically need to stay home while having their lecture, and the need of studying with such an amount of pressure of living with their families, so much stress that needs to be handled. It's not that students are letting go of their responsibility of taking care of their family, such as doing chores, but internally all students want and need to focus on their studying, of course, for their own future. While living with family can make us closer to them, will be such a blast. But to do all of that, we need to sacrifice our time for studying, to make time for our family. Living with strict parents is not easy when all they see is students only staying close among their laptop or gadgets, as they only focus on social media while they see we are not studying. But little did they know, students are trying their best to focus on their assignments, as with their pressure of not understanding the content or slides that are given. Even though lectures will post the same slides on the university student e-learning website, or even better, when the lecturer records the session with explanation during the online class. One of the main reasons of mental illness among students during the pandemic is when their family has an economic issue. Not all family can support a good Wi-Fi for their students to have an online class that works smoothly, or some of them cannot afford a gadget such as a laptop or even smartphone that can do so much work for them. Somehow, loneliness and separation from friends can create such an impact because no one in person or face-to-face meet up with their friends for them to laugh and also enjoy their moments in life. Again, on top of that, there is no such thing as hanging out with friends when social distancing is a standard operating procedure or SOP that need to be practiced. I can say that going out with friends can take out all pressure that builds inside ourselves while having fun with a person that you can talk to, while acknowledging and believing what you actually felt. Some of students felt as if their hostels or campus were like their home. This will create such a hard feeling for students, such as frustration, anxiety, or betrayal, because living in a campus can make them breathe again and start a new life. As an example, for students to escape from their terrifying nightmare, depression, of course. Some of you might feel the same thing that I felt, right? Okay, to add on, having an online class at home is a sudden change that students are forced unexpectedly to accept the change of the situation. It reminds me as you are having a good bath and suddenly the water on the tap did not come out. This is how much pressure and stress that students need to accept the changes. Living in Selangor, of course, me, I felt the same. Okay, being a student that is used to having a physical and face-to-face lecture, it's not easy for them to change their way of learning, even when the COVID-19 cases have decreased. Students are now used to learn and study at home or comfortable of the online class that the lecture provide for a long period. Right now, I don't think that's matter anymore. Okay, let's continue to the speech. It is not easy for them to change back to be comfortable and enjoyable with physical and face-to-face lecture, even though they have done it longer since kindergarten. You know, when you basically learn face-to-face with your teacher, having physical contact with teacher, it's not the same anymore. This is the new normal that students need to face. And in this situation, it reminds me of when you need to stay in a place like Malaysia that has a short amount of time for day. Then you suddenly need to stay in a country like Norway that has 24 hours of sunlight and 76 days between May and July. You know, when you are having your fasting month and it happens more than 30 days. I don't think that people can handle that, even though it's actually a good thing. You know, accept the change. Just think, having a warm, sunny day in Malaysia, suddenly you change to Norway. That doesn't even make sense. 76 days of sunlight for 24 hours. I don't think I can handle that if I need to stay and sleep in midnight sun for all. I do think that students having such a hard time, especially right now, having a test or an examination during MCO is already hard because it's a new thing. When we are used to write with pens and pencils, and suddenly we need to change our ways of do an exam with typing fast for 3 hours. It's just hard. And I believe that when people around are not, what can I say, they didn't know how it felt. But I do, for all, I believe and I do think that all students, all of us, wants to avoid the idea of staying home again, even though we need to overcome and face the changes that needs to be done, even though we didn't want that. We look at the economy of Malaysia or the world. It's just a hard time for all of us, not only students but all of us. Mental illness is what people need to see through. With this pandemic situation, I do think that mental illness is a new, I can say it's a new change that people need to accept. With amount of cases and death that people saw, I can say that we are frantically afraid of what will happen with, of course, death of suicides and everything. That's all for me.
As the last person to continue my friend's speech, I do agree with my friend's statement of when during the MCO, during the RMCO, your mental health isn't that stable because you don't really go out socializing, you go out to the mall, window shopping and all, and it is really kind of crucial if you always at your home and your mental health is not that stable. So, um, during the RMCO, someone's mental health can be quite worrying if they don't seek help. Especially students' mental health who is not always that stable because of the burdens they have on their shoulders, especially when they do a load of assignments, they have family expectation, they have maybe relationship problems or even friends. They encounter toxic friends that can make them very stressful. So they're always being burdened by the things around them and things in their head. When what can I say about when they think about everything in their head, it will eventually make themselves feel burdened, especially when they overthink about things that don't even happen yet, and that is a problem that they need to face. And especially that particular thing happened because they have anxiety. Anxiety is common when people presenting something as an example in front of the lecturer. Um, yeah, they when they want to present something in front of the lecture, they tend to feel anxious, and when they did well in the presentation, but they think that they have done the worst because of the anxiety itself, and eventually feel depressed when they are in their hostel and all. So when when you always feel depressed and anxious, it will harm your health. So when you keep on thinking about it, and when you don't have any intention to improve yourself, so it will affect your study life and your family relationship and all. So when you tend to think about it too much, your grades will slowly fall down, your family relationship will slowly be, what do you say, not that close anymore, because you tend to close yourself inside your room without even socializing with your own family. And even when the person's or family physical health can somehow be also worrying if they do not figure out ways to improve them. So there are many ways to improve your mental health, such as you can seek for a therapist. A therapist is someone that listens to you when you have no one to listen to, when you don't have someone to talk to about your problems. However, a therapist can be quite expensive, but if you want to be healthy again, like when you're a child, so yeah, you should always sacrifice for what that is good for you. Other ways is to always talk to your friends and family about your problems, so they will know how you feel, how you really are when you're not around them, and also how your family will know how healthy you are when you talk to them about it. Um, Talking about the therapist again, they tend to know what they do because that is their specialty. When you tend to talk to the wrong person, they will always judge you and say that you should always take care of yourself. Why don't you take care of yourself? And that is not a good way to talk about your mental health, and that is really not a good way, and it will make your problem getting even more worse. When the last resort is to call the care line that offers face-to-face intervention. When you too shy to meet them, you can always call them in the provided care line 03795681 um 0379568144 or 0379568145 that are based in Kuala Lumpur. They will always listen to your problem in the line if you don't have the courage to talk to them face to face. Also, the only way to help others is not to keep their emotion. The only way to take care of yourself is not to keep your emotions bottled in. Bottled in, yes. When you keep your emotions bottled in, it will somehow affect your health sooner or later, because it will hurt you inside and give you heartaches, and that is not a good way to continue your life, because you will have mental issues the along with the side effects, such as heart pains, stomach pain, and all those if if you don't take care of yourself much. In the conclusion, um, sleep is always the method to always keep yourself emotionally and mentally stable, because it is essential to always have a sufficient sleep, because when you sleep so late your emotion will not be that stable and you tend to feel more, what do you say, irritated, more anxious, more depressed, because you don't have enough sleep. And when you have not enough sleep, when you don't have enough sleep, then you will tend to be angry with everyone, and that is not a good way, and that is not a good thing. However, your worst intensity will somehow to be drifted away by, your anxiety and depression will somehow be drifted away if you really have a good night's sleep, because you feel very comfortable of yourself because you sleep sufficiently. A healthy diet is another way to slowly improve your mental health, because when you eat too much fast food, you tend to make yourself full of deadly disease, and that is not a good way. Okay. In conclusion, sufficient sleep is essential to keep your mind at ease the next day you wake up. It is compulsory to put away your phone or take rest from the social media, and when you take a healthy diet, it will make yourself more healthy and emotionally stable. And a healthy diet is a way that to improve slowly your mental health. Mental health awareness is a topic that don't always be talked about, and it should always be talked about, because people with mental illness need help, and when you don't help them, it will lead to suicide and other harmful acts in the future. So I am here to tell you that do always treat them equally, and stop stereotyping them as crazy or not socializable, and always be by their side when they need you. So that's all for me. Thank you, everyone.